Welcome, everybody, to We Geek Podcast. Today's April Fool's Day, and it is our just spoiler spectacular, basically. There's a lot of stuff that's come out in the last few weeks, and we figured we'd just do one big episode to kind of go over it. We're gonna talk about Rebels, Annihilation, Jessica Jones, Tomb Raider, Wrinkle in Time, Pacific Rim Uprising, Love, Simon, Far Cry 5, Sea of Thieves, and the big one is Ready Player One, that I imagine we'll spend probably a lot of time on it since it's both fresh in our minds, and I'm curious what you think about it. So, yeah, man, let's dive into it. Let's just start at the top here. Rebels, you've seen a while ago, and it took me forever to see it just because life finds a way, right?
Thanks, Malcolm.
Right, exactly. And so what did you think of the ending of Rebels?
I loved it. I was a little, and off the top, we are spoiling everything. So if you don't want to, then just skip this episode. But yes. I really loved, I was a little on the fence with the whole, oh my god, they took him away, and so we don't know what happened to him. But they totally redeemed that with the time jump showing, oh, and by the way, the very end of this is after Jedi. And, oh, by the way, here's Ahsoka. And now and now these two are going to go off and have an adventure. I thought, okay, yes. That's a setup for something I want to see. Yes, please.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. I think that, if they don't make that the next show, that will be a comic series. That will be something, and I'll be fine with however they do it because I love those characters. They're so good. And yeah, absolutely. Those characters on a new adventure with probably some new friends, to go find Ezra, basically that's it's kind of like how the Last Jedi we got to find Luke, they got to find Ezra. That's what I thought of when that was happening. I was like, oh, this is kind of like, it's kind of like that. Something happened to him, he went off and gotta go find him. So I don't know. I thought that was so cool.
Yeah, it was a nice coda. And one thing that I loved, if you go back and you watch the very first episode,
mm-hmm.
a lot of the shots at the very end of the finale are mirror images from the premiere.
Yes, I got. You're absolutely right. Now that I think about it, because that's what I was thinking when I was seeing that. I was like, this is such a way to tie it up, tie it all the way back to the beginning, with some of those shots, with those animals and the fields and the city, and it's
because the two that stuck out to me are kind of like the sort of the establishing shot of she's outside on the thing and you see the Capitol way off in the distance.
Mm-hmm.
That was an exact shot, but with him instead and the less built up Capitol.
Gotcha.
And the shot of her leaning on the railing was exactly the same, the same spot, the same part of the railing, the same expression, all of it as him in the premiere.
Oh, that's awesome.
That was cool. That was somebody who really did a lot of thinking on this.
Oh yeah.
But
yeah, definitely.
It was a good send off. And you felt it didn't feel rushed. It wasn't just, oh my god, now we're stuck fighting the very heart of the Empire. They had the time to build to all of this.
Right.
And they did it really well. And there was the building tension throughout the episode was great. And the writing in it was so smooth, and everything was just worked. It felt like how you wanted it to work. And I know some people have complaints Kind of the way that Rook got tossed aside in a way, because anybody with any kind of EU knowledge about him knows that's a really complex and a really significant character. So I can understand some people got upset about that, and I thought, yeah, I get it, and even in the context of the show, it didn't seem like there was the big. He deserved a little bit more than that.
Right.
So that's nitpicky, but that's how good that I thought the finale was like the problems that I have with it are overall fairly tiny.
Once I got to the last half of the season, I was in.
Yeah.
That's when I was like, okay, now I'm just melting through these episodes. It was all just one cohesive story. Like, it was just so good. And I like that they left it ambiguous as well for Thrawn. If Ezra's alive, Thrawn could totally be too.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's, we got from the Thrawn novel, a peek at the fact that they talk about, what is it, the Chiss ascendancy or whatever grand name that the council for their species has or whatever. So
right.
We know there are more of him out there, and they're just waiting.
Now, this takes place. This is the farthest in Star Wars timeline we see Thrawn, correct?
Yes.
All the stuff in the book was previous Star Wars.
Right. It was before, because it was before Vader.
Right.
Or it was before his teaming with Vader. I imagine that what happens in, because the novel that we got, the first one that's canon, was obviously before any of his time on Rebels.
Right.
And I imagine the one that we're getting that has him and Vader sort of working together in what I bet is a very interesting and awkward dynamic is probably during Rebels. It's probably in that same kind of time period.
Gotcha.
Just when we don't see him, it's either that or shortly before. But I imagine it's in that same kind of window.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah. But yeah, man, it's crazy how I love how on the surface level you could put this in front of a kid and they're gonna lose their minds.
Oh yeah, totally.
But there's so much depth there with the Star Wars lore. They do such a good job balancing that. It's the only thing I compare it to is like the Pixar movies, where you can put a kid in front of that and they're gonna love it. An adult will too, because the storytelling and everything just applied to it is just, it's so good.
What did you think about some of the grander visions of the Force that they showed towards the end?
I feel like I honestly need to watch those a few more times.
They mess with you. How much of the Clone Wars did you watch?
I watched all of it.
Okay, so you remember got the callback there. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, the father with the kids, with the dark and the light. Yeah. I remember that was one of the first few seasons of Clone Wars. I remember seeing a documentary about the Clone Wars, and they talked about wanting to do that episode early on because they didn't know how long it was going to be on air.
Right.
They didn't know how long Clone Wars was going to be there, so they jumped into that super, lore heavy stuff early, and so it was nice to see them jump into it now. And yeah, all the stuff with the wolves, and it's just all fascinating. I need to watch that scene a few more times where he actually goes in, pulls out Ahsoka. You hear all the different timelines of Star Wars being said.
Yeah, even stuff from The Last Jedi, which I thought was tremendous. Not The Force Awakens, but The Last Jedi. I was like, damn, they rushed that in there quick. Holy crap.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. That's what it just blew me away. And it's like, oh wow, I immediately had to go and tell my friends that are huge Star Wars, nerds. But for some reason, some of them don't watch the animation, and I'm like, you need to see this now. Like, this is going to blow your mind. Yeah. And it's canon. It's all part of the story.
It is. I can understand Clone Wars, because it's a bit of a slog. to try to really dig into Clone Wars. But Rebels was helped by a shorter episode count and not quite such a grand scope.
Well, it also helps that the entire team got their teeth wet for so many seasons before jumping onto it, where they had that, okay, we did this show, we knew what works, we knew what didn't, and now we go and make this. And there is so much less filler in this show. This entire last season, I don't think there was a single episode that was filler. The only thing that there was like one or two stories that were just like two-parters, but still they were, they were still pretty big. Like the whole Mandalorian thing, that's massive if you're a giant fan of Boba Fett, and the ones about the name of the rebellion with what's his name from Rogue One. Like they did such a good job tying in all that stuff that even though it wasn't the big, and then right after that it was just every episode was the main stuff, it was still weaved in and out of those episodes. They all still played a part. You shouldn't skip any episode this season, and that it just, man, like I'm so excited to see what they do next. I mean, they could do, I think most people believe it's going to be set in the new timeline, or the new era, I guess.
Yeah, closer to the current, what the EU timeline would have called, the New Jedi era? Wasn't that what they called it?
The New Jedi era, yes. But it's at a time frame where, we could still see these characters. Some of them, especially like Ezra and stuff like that. He would just be older.
Yeah. It's interesting because it does posit, the greatest mystery in the films for anybody who's watched any of the other stuff is, where the hell is Ahsoka? Where, right. And now, we have another inkling into where, we still don't really know where she's been, because there's a big gap just between, when Ezra pulled her out of time and, the end of Jedi, basically,
selfish me, I hope that's a book. I hope that's a comic. I don't see them doing a whole TV show around it,
No,
I could totally see a movie.
Yeah.
But I think you could get more out of a book.
I think we get a comic. Weren't you the one talking about that the last time they had Celebration, that was the character that got the biggest pop?
It's true, that is. So maybe that's why they did that, and they let that very there's that big gap, and it makes sense. Like when stories get timey-wimey, they can really hurt themselves. But they left this open where she knew that she could not come in contact with them because it would throw everything off.
Right.
It would cause so much damage to time. So it makes sense that she stayed away. Maybe that's why Ezra stayed away. You know what I mean? Or why he wasn't seen, and that they know he's still out there. It's fascinating, and it's only 4 seasons, right?
Yeah, it's not a long. So if anybody out there hasn't checked it out, you could watch it in a day.
Yeah,
you could absolutely do it in a day.
Oh yeah. Every episode's 20 minutes long, so I was like, oh man, I did 3 episodes in an hour. This is great.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this makes me want, and it's 4 seasons, so this makes me want to actually go out and buy them. Because you're not thinking like, well, I gotta get 7 seasons or something.
Right.
It's just 4. I'm sure when Disney drops their app next year, this will be on it.
I would imagine so, yeah.
This and Clone Wars, which would be really neat because it's kind of hard to, you can't really see this. None of this is on Netflix, is it?
No, it's not.
Right.
I don't. Right. No, because it would have been. I don't know if. I don't know how much is archived on the Disney XD app, if anything. It may be something that the only way you can get it is to rent it through iTunes or Amazon or something like that.
Right, yeah. So this is something I can totally see them putting on. It's showing Amazon, iTunes, Google Play, and YouTube to rent.
Yeah.
So Yeah. But yeah, I mean the seasons digitally are only $30, so that's not bad.
No, and you get and it's value for money. It's absolutely value for money.
Oh yeah, all those episodes, heck yeah. But I don't know. I loved it. I thought it was good. I loved the art style. I remember going into this show thinking, I don't know how I feel about the art style, because I love the artwork and everything else. When we saw it as like, here's some stuff that back in the day, like this is what they wanted to do with it, and then it became Star Wars with Ralph's paintings and whatnot. And I was just like, I don't know how I feel about it in animation, but it's so smart. It's so smart because it now gives that time period such a feel that's unique.
Yeah.
And it's I don't know, I thought it was really cool. One thing I didn't get, and maybe you can help me out with this, and I didn't really, I don't know if there's significance to it, but it seemed like when Cade, his last day pretty much alive, drastically changed the way he looked.
It's one of those kinds of traditions of the idea of getting ready for battle. Because you see it in everything, and it's always the same thing. Somebody with the beard and the long hair and all that stuff. Well, they've got to get up and they've got to get out in the fight. And so what do? They cut their hair, they shave their beard. It's a sign of it's a sign of moving forward. It's a way of saying, all right, I'm ready to get up and get going again.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I didn't know if it had, it doesn't. And you're right.
Yeah, it doesn't have particular Jedi significance or Star Wars significance. It's more, it's the idea of it's this thing of like, you've just kind of let everything happen to you, and so now you're getting up and you're taking control. And it doesn't mean completely shaving and buzzing your head, but it's this idea of, all right, I need to you look at yourself in the mirror and you say, well, I don't like this.
Right.
And so you take action, and it's it's highly symbolic. Like, there's no real practical anything to it, pretty much. But it's that mentality of getting back into things and getting going again.
Okay. I thought it was cool he got his vision right before he passed away.
Yeah, it was a neat little touch.
Yeah, his green eyes back. But yeah, I thought it was just so cool. Yeah, I'm excited to see what happens next. I hope we see these guys again on some adventure. I thought it was just such a cool way to wrap everything up.
Yeah.
But okay, anything else you want to say about Rebels?
It was awesome, and if you haven't watched it, go watch it.
Yeah.
I found it's a tougher sell to get people to tune into Clone Wars, because there is so much of it, and a lot of it is filler.
There's guides online, by the way.
I've seen a bunch of them. And they help, but there's it's the fact that you have to do something like that also kind of turns people off.
Absolutely.
Just that you can't just sit and watch it straight through. You're like, oh no, I've got to jump to this, click this. Like, it's completely a first world problem. No question. But it is kind of an inconvenience, and I get why that turns people off. But Rebels is just a straight shot, and even the handful of episodes that are more filler than, because I don't think there are any episodes that are completely filler. Maybe a couple at most.
Right.
But even those, they're fun.
And they were earlier. Yes. Like, the last few seasons were just boom, boom, boom.
Yeah. The last two in particular, and I thought 3 was kind of like, oh, they got serious. The last season got dark. I mean, they tortured Hera. Like, I mean, straight up. And I was like, this is a Disney show?
Right. Oh, yeah.
It was just, I mean, they were proving a point. The Empire is bad, very bad. But it wasn't done for, pardon the awful pun, it wasn't done for shock value. It was done to prove a point. Like, this is where we are. This is why this is a big deal.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, man. Now I kind of want to go back and look at a lot of this. Yeah, because like the stuff with Darth Maul and just so much cool stuff.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite parts. Not just bringing back Maul, but the way that they ended his story.
Right.
And it wasn't it was I loved that as he's laying there dying, he's actually looking ahead.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not just I failed to kill you again or whatever. He's not the same. He's changed for all the trauma and
Right.
everything that he's gone through. His perspective is vastly different now.
Oh yeah, he was at peace.
It was interesting. Yeah. It was really interesting.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So go watch it. Go watch Rebels. Go buy it. I have it digitally now, the fourth season at least.
Yeah, you bought that a couple of weeks ago on the show.
Yeah. Didn't mean to, but I'm glad I did. That was cool. Yeah, I have that My Movies Anywhere app now, so like I was able to grab everything and put it together. So now I can pull up like Vudu on my PlayStation, and it shows everything from iTunes to Amazon to everything on the application. So
yeah, it's a handy little app, and it like when it first started, because it kind of spawned from Ultraviolet,
right,
which everybody just kind of laughed at and poo-pooed and said this is not going to go anywhere.
mm-hmm.
And I think that the Movies Anywhere app was something that was either developed in parallel with or was adapted from Ultraviolet, and it just kind of became this way of, instead of being a standalone service, it became a locker basically for everything else.
Right.
Like it wasn't worried about oh, you get the content through us. It was an aggregate. That's the word I was looking for. It's an aggregate kind of service of, oh, link all of your different accounts and access them from this central point.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really grown into something now, for
mm-hmm.
sure.
Oh yeah. It's awesome. All right. Well, let's put a marker there. So yeah, so Rebels, absolutely go see it. And I'm sure we'll hear in the next year or two, especially at Celebration, what's coming next. So I'm excited for it.
I think we get a taste of something at Comic-Con.
That would be great.
Maybe just like an announcement of something. Maybe it's a title and it's a TV show. Like that's I don't expect anything more than that until Disney's own stuff, D23 or Celebration or whatever the hell.
Right. I expect them to show probably the title, maybe show a character or two, and like say it's in this time period, and we'll have more to say at D22 or D23 or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. But okay, man, we both saw Annihilation.
Yeah, what did you think of it?
I thought it was great. It's one of those. It's the guy who did what's that robot movie?
Ex Machina.
Ex Machina. Yeah, that's it. Very much kind of in the same vein. Very sci-fi kind of. It's kind of low budget, if that makes sense. But even though it wasn't low budget, you know what I mean? Like it's not a big space opera sci-fi. It is a weird, let's kind of mess with you kind of vibe.
It's a bit of a haunted house movie in a way.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. I'm trying to think of the words, but man, it's
it's a trip. It's definitely a trip for sure.
I went into it blindly, not knowing anything about it. We talked about that.
Yeah.
Just knowing like it had, I knew the actors. I knew that it had something to do with her husband, and that she was going into like the woods, but I had no idea what it was. And so starting it up, I was just like, this is so weird, especially her husband comes back. So her husband dies, in war. She's not really told that much because of what he was doing. It's like a year later or whatnot. And then he just suddenly shows up. And right there I knew this was going to be weird and cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it takes a minute to get you to kind of find your feet, because when it starts and he just kind of shows up, you're completely off balance. And then, because he just seems weird. And
right.
Then you find out, as soon as he takes that sip of water, and you're like, oh, something's very wrong. And then it starts to kind of piece together and really pick up the plot from there.
Right.
I'm telling you what, of everything that I took from that, the bit at the end where this alien, whatever the hell it was, kind of recreated itself in her image, I thought that was an interesting concept. I really like the idea of, like, it's trying to piece itself together, and it's now got this piece of her DNA to work with, and so it's replicating itself, but it's innocent in the sense that it's not trying to hurt anything. It just has it's literally just trying to figure out what it's doing. That's all it's doing. And it causes some things to happen, but it's not what is it? Malevolent. That's the word I was looking for. But the thing that sticks with me is the actual house scene. Like when she has them tied up, and it's like, okay, this is weird, and then you hear the say, help me, and you're like, okay, great, and then here comes the big whatever that thing was.
That was the best scene in the movie.
It absolutely was, because as it leans its head forward between all of them and opens its mouth, and that's where you hear the help me. That freaked, like, I was done. I was that from that point until the end of that whole scene, that whole little set piece, I was completely freaked out. It was insane.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's when I was talking to some people about it, and I've said, this movie, has things in it that I've never seen before in a movie. That was one of them.
Yeah.
I've never seen that before, or heard that, or that was just, I loved their DNA in this area is just mixing, and when she's in her most frightened state, somehow some of that mixed into this bear thing. And so when he's just roaring and it's a different voice,
yeah,
it was like, I don't know, like it was like some Kojima shit.
Yes, yeah, it really was.
Yeah, it was just batshit crazy. Hopefully, again, we're talking spoilers. Of course, you're this deep in. Hopefully, you've seen it, because that's just a surprise that you don't want to be spoiled. You want to go into that hearing it and going, "Oh no, is she being eaten? Like, what's happening?"
Yeah.
And then when you realize what it is, you're just like, "That is so unsettling."
Yeah.
And then it's getting closer to them, and they can't move. They're all tied up because the woman went crazy. It's just so good.
It's really good, and it was great, because so many people that I saw coming out of the theaters would, like, stop me and ask me, like, because I'm standing down by the end of the stairs, like, all right, show's over, no end credits scene, everybody get out, let's go. But they, people would come by, and every once in a while somebody would say, have you seen this yet? No, not yet. They're like, I'm still trying to figure out what I watched.
Right. Yeah. The last 20 minutes is where it gets a little like, what is that thing?
Yeah.
That's the part that got super confusing for me, because I understood it's an alien and it's trying to figure out things, and like you said, its intentions are not malicious. It just doesn't know.
Yeah.
And it's just it was such a weird, like, the movie was an acid trip.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, the moment in there, they're just, time's weird. They don't know where they're at. Things are mixing with each other. The plants are, all the genes are just You have all these different flowers on the same vine. It's when all that stuff started happening, I was like, okay, that I immediately thought like DNA is weird here in this spot. Like all the animals, everything is just, you had the alligator and the shark.
Yeah.
Or the alligator with the shark-like teeth or whatever. It was like everything's just kind of like, all right, let's play with nature. I don't know. It was a bizarre trip. It's crazy that it only got released here and then Netflix everywhere else. I guess they didn't believe in it or something. What do you think?
The deal was that I cannot remember the company that distributed it. But Netflix basically cut them a deal where they said it was kind of like, we're going to make more money if we sell the global distribution rights to Netflix than we probably will releasing it wider theatrically.
Well, it makes sense.
I mean, it's a business.
It's the future, and this is,
Well, you say that, and I agree with you, but we had Jumanji in theaters for 2 weeks after it came out on Blu-ray.
Yeah, but this isn't Jumanji, though. This does not have anywhere near the same kind of mass appeal as Jumanji.
This is true, but...
It's sci-fi, so that's niche. It is a niche of sci-fi, because it's not the popcorn sci-fi where you can, I can bring the kids and they can quote their favorite Star Wars things.
True.
This is along the lines of... what was the movie a few years ago where they were speaking to the aliens?
Oh, that narrows it down.
Well, the whole movie was about communication. The planet was going to end. Oh man, come on. And they needed help talking to the aliens. And they didn't understand what it was trying to say, and it was just making like a circle.
Oh.
Am I not?
I can't help you. What's gonna happen is you're probably gonna find it and tell me, and it's
Arrival.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
2 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. It was all about communication. And so that's, to me, this is kind of in that same line.
True. Yeah. Very true.
Yeah. And so, so I could totally see that. These kind of movies, if you're outside of the U.S., go watch it on Netflix. If you're in the U.S., I don't know if it's still in the theater.
Not really. No.
Yeah. Well, you'll see it in a few months.
It's gonna be on digital. Oh, I imagine it's gonna be on digital a lot sooner than that. Give me a second, and I will be able to tell you. But
yeah. I imagine it drops on Netflix pretty soon.
Yeah. Let me see real quick, because I'll go ahead and look that up.
And it's good. I mean, the last Netflix movie we saw was that Cloverfield one, and it just wasn't as good as everyone hoped it would be. And this is a total get for Netflix, because it's one of those where I think it could be digested pretty well at home too.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I thought it was weird, just the way it messed with nature. One of the freakiest scenes was when they see the video and they cut the guy's stomach, just totally uncomfortable. And then when they peel the skin back and you see that his organs are like vines wrapping around inside and moving like worms inside of him. It was just so unsettling. And then for that to happen later in the film, for her to know like something's wrong inside of me, it's moving.
Yeah.
Like that kind of just freaked me out. Kind of reminded me like Alien or something.
There was definitely a bit of that there for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Let me see. Annihilation releases digitally. There's not a date here.
Yeah.
That's really strange. Mm-hmm. Like there's pre-orders for it, like on Amazon. There's pre-orders, but there's no. It doesn't actually have a release date. That's weird.
Yeah. I'm not sure. iTunes estimates May.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Yep, about a month from now, month or two, you should be able to see it.
Yeah.
Digitally, yeah. Yeah, Amazon. This site has Amazon and iTunes estimating May 2018.
Yeah,
so
that sounds about right.
Yeah. So yeah, man. Yeah, it's crazy. I'm so glad I saw it. It just did things I've never seen before, and the landing didn't particularly stick with me because that's where it got a little bit like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
Blowing my mind, you know. But other than that, I thought it was just fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay. So I didn't see Jessica Jones, but we can still talk about it.
How much have you watched any of the second season so far?
2 episodes, unless you want to wait and do Jessica Jones some other time.
Just in, I mean, like I can do broad strokes. Well, because
okay.
I mean, we kind of did broad strokes on the last show. I think when we mentioned it, just the idea of like it's way more personal this season. Which, how do you get more personal than you did last season? And I get that, but it's not there. I don't think really that there are any like far-reaching MCU implications here.
Okay.
Like nobody else gets dragged into this. It doesn't introduce. Right. I say that with a hint of apprehension because I'm sure there might be, but not in the way that the first season did when they were still kind of world building and they were trying to connect everything. This is a season that stands on its own with its own characters. It's not relying on bringing in anybody else to try to find its legs or anything.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's definitely on the list. That's what I'm going to be watching soon. Now that I'm done with Rebels, that's the next thing on the list to do. Oh, I just need more time in the day.
I'm sorry, I dropped my headphones there. Did I miss anything?
No, I just need more time in the day. That's definitely going to be the next thing on the list now that I'm done with Rebels.
Yeah, there you go.
Jessica Jones and Altered Carbon. I want to get to those two at some point soon before Westworld comes back on. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's going to take up the time. Well, although that's only going to be an hour a week, so, you know.
Right. Oh, yeah.
That's not going to drop all at once.
No, that should be fun. What about Tomb Raider? Tell me about Tomb Raider.
I enjoyed it. It is very much a simplified adaptation of the rebooted game.
That's what I assumed.
And there's nothing wrong with that. You know, it's a little plot holy in some aspects. Some things that need to be explained are just kind of glossed over. Without it seeming to anybody else like things are strange. I can't even. And this is what's kind of bad. I can't even remember the villain's name, but
oh wow,
he's a presence in a way. And you understand like this is a guy who's ruthless, you know, flat out. Right. But he's also, it's born out of desperation. He's not evil for the sake of being evil. You understand the motivation behind it, and it's you know it's fine. Pick it up at Redbox for a night. It's worth that much.
Oh,
but
okay.
It's you know it's not. It's an okay movie. It's one of the better video game adaptations, which is not saying a whole lot.
Right.
So I mean, there's that. I mean, it's not, and you know, there's plenty at the end to set up, you know, where they want to go with the sequels that they probably won't make because I doubt this made enough money to justify sequels. But there's, I'll say this. I will say this unequivocally. Alicia Vikander is amazing. The movie does not live up to her performance at all.
Oh, okay.
She is outstanding. She makes a fantastic Lara Croft, and you can tell she goes for it. And
right.
she was great casting, and that's the only reason I would want to see any sequels, is because she is good enough to warrant a sequel, even if the movie is is fair, but she's fantastic. She's really good.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'll definitely be checking it out once that hits digital. You know, on Amazon or whatever. I'll rent it and definitely check it out. Yeah. It's one of those where now I know it's just going to be too busy in the theater. If I want to go back and see a movie, I'm definitely going to be seeing Ready Player One before whatever's next.
Mm-hmm. I'm going in the morning. Like we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Oh yeah. But yeah, I'll definitely check that out.
Yeah, it's worth a Redbox or you know an Amazon rental or whatever. It's worth that much for sure.
Cool. Well, let's get into another movie I did not see, A Wrinkle in Time.
This was interesting because watching this made me understand why I couldn't get into the book. And it's a roundabout way of talking about a good thing. Because it illustrates through the story, because the main character, the girl Meg, is the scientist. You know, she's still a kid, but she's more pragmatic, she's a little more cynical, she's skeptical of everything. Her adopted little brother, while being ridiculously, like, giftedly brilliant, is still just a kid. So when it's time to go on this adventure, she's hesitant and wants to ask all the questions and figure everything out. And little Charles Wallace is just running up and grabbing Reese Witherspoon's hand and going, "Come on, let's go." And that helped me figure out why I couldn't get into the book, was because I wasn't ready to just I wasn't in that same place of just diving into an adventure. And that's which was a weird and maybe an unintended consequence, but now I want to go back and try the book again and not get hung up on what I don't know. You know, because I've talked about the book before is very kind of jargon heavy, and it made it hard to figure out, well, what does this mean? What does that mean? And it makes me kind of think I went at it the wrong way and should just, dive in and say, the hell with it, we'll figure all this out as we go. And that to me was interesting. Something that I didn't realize, and it is something that you can definitely understand, the main evil, awful thing in this, and I didn't know this, is called the It. And apparently, when Stephen King decided to write It, he drew inspiration from this thing. And he basically jacked it up to a horror version of it, but you can definitely see where it makes sense when you see what this kind of entity does. You understand, like, oh, okay, sure, yeah. Because I heard somebody say that, and I thought, what? This is a kid's book. It can't be that dark, and it's not, but it's creepy, Oh, yeah. To say the visual effects are stunning is redundant at this point because it's a beautiful movie. But
oh, yeah.
It's another one I would say if I wouldn't recommend this as a Redbox as highly as I would Tomb Raider. It's not a long movie, so it's got that going for it. It's not great.
Okay.
It's not. I'm not saying it's bad, but it's close.
Okay.
It just kind of bounces around a little bit, and you never feel like you're on solid ground. And sometimes that works in a movie, but not this time.
Oh, okay.
It's a bummer because there's a really good there's a good story there, and like I said, it makes me want to go back and read the book because the book was heralded, and it's this classic children's tale. All right, I'll give that another shot, but the movie was it's all right. The performances were good. I do not have anybody's name in front of me offhand.
Okay.
The kids were good. a lot of fuss was made. Oprah's in this movie. Oprah is Oprah. She's the wise, towering presence. It's just Oprah. But I will find the names for the kids here because they were really good. The one thing that was great is Mindy Kaling's character only speaks in quotes.
Okay.
And it's kind of funny, and they're always sourced. It's always, here was the quote, who said it, and where they were from. It did make me tear up with her last quote is tomorrow there'll be more of us. Miranda, American. And I was like, oh, she quoted Hamilton. God damn it! Like,
that's funny.
It was good. It made me tear up a little bit. This I understand why DC was so quick to snatch up Ava DuVernay to do New Gods, because you can tell she sees these worlds, because a lot of these set pieces are really strange kind of planets. And you can tell she's got an eye for the vision of what these are supposed to be.
Right.
So there's definitely that. Storm Reed plays Meg. She was really good. Where is Derek McCabe, who played Charles Wallace, is weird and good, and even for a kid actor, he has to swing from one end to the other, like in the space of a scene, as you get closer down towards the end of the movie, and it's impressive. He was good. And where is it Calvin? I think it's Calvin. Levi Miller, who plays Calvin. And he was good. He was kind of he was sort of the grounding wire, I guess, for Meg. He doesn't serve much of a function beyond that, really. He's kind of the in-between character between the two of them, but it's all right. I was a little disappointed, but if it has its good points, but overall not a great movie.
Okay. Yeah, I'll probably wait for digital for that.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah. Well, here's a movie I did see. Pacific Rim Uprising. We talked a little bit about it before. What did you think of it?
It was the same as the first one in that it was giant robots fighting giant monsters, and that was all I wanted.
Yeah.
Like, I wasn't really interested in, because the first one was like, here's the plot, here's a fight, here's a good bit more plot, here's another fight, here's a bunch of plot, here's the last fight. This movie was very much, here's some plot, here's a big fight, here's a little bit of plot, here's more fighting, here's the last little bit of plot, and here's a bunch more fighting. This was a film that learned from its mistakes, and I loved Boyega's character.
Yeah.
Because he was snarky. He was there was a Han Solo to him in this that I really liked.
Oh yeah, yeah. When he's getting ice cream and his sweater thing, or his
what are you wearing?
Right, yeah, whatever.
What?
His pajamas. It was just cool. Yeah, I really did like his character too. He a little cheesy at some points, but I mean if you think about the movie, it's just cheeseball the whole time. So it fit. It was good. It took me a minute to remember how the first one ended.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, with what's his Charlie Day's character, when it shows him going home.
Charlie Hunnam.
Hunnam. Why was I saying Charlie Day? Isn't that his name in? Is that his name in?
No, because I think Charlie Day is the other dude who was also in this.
Well then, yeah, no, I'm thinking of Charlie Day then. When he goes home, and the brain is there.
Oh yeah. You're right.
Yeah,
my bad.
Yeah.
My bad.
And I'm like, wait a second. What happened? Because I thought he was a good guy, and then I was like, why would he have a brain there? What's going on? And that was happening in my head.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, okay, so I guess that they interacted with the brains in the first one, and something was left there over that made him go crazy.
Basically, yeah. It kind of seemed like the brain that they drifted with left a back door in his mind.
Right.
That it's kind of been feeding off of. It was a good. I liked how they set up that it was kind of the stereotypical, evil corporation, blah 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 stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and it leaves you it lets you sit with that for just long enough to start to get angry that it's gonna be this same stupid kind of plot,
right?
And then it throws you the curveball, yeah.
Right. And then he's like, oh, I'm gonna destroy the world. He's like, what? Their scenes together were just great. Charlie Day and what's his name? The guy from Back to the Future.
Yeah. Oh,
I have it in front of me. I should though. Is it Berth Gorman?
Yes.
Yes, Berth Gorman. From Dark Knight Rises and stuff like that. I thought their scenes together were great, especially in the elevator and it was fun.
Well, I mean that carries over the chemistry they had from the first one too.
Right.
That was they built on that and they let that work, and it's fun. It's a fun popcorn movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like it doesn't dig deep into a lot of philosophical anything. There's no grand meaning behind anything really. It's giant robots fighting giant monsters. Like that's it, and it doesn't really try to be anything more.
Right. Yeah. It's what is it, Gaijin or whatnot? They were calling them the
Kaiju.
Kaijin. Yeah. That's it.
Yeah. Kaiju. Yeah. Gaijin is a whole other thing.
You're right. I'm like, I went into some Tokyo Drift, but it was just so cool. Just robots and monsters fighting each other. If that's your thing, go see it in the theater. If not, then you can wait. If you got a nice TV, watch it digitally. But it was. I thought just like you. I thought it was just as good as the first one. And I liked the battles were outside, in the daylight instead of being raining and dark the whole movie. They were like, no, we're lighting everything up and we're going to show everything. And the three monsters at the end, I thought it was neat. It was cool.
It was ambitious to do it that way. That's why so many of those movies happen in the dark.
Oh yeah,
because it's easier to shade than it is to lighten in a lot of those instances. And I love that they kind of addressed the idea. It was a throwaway line, but I thought it was really great, and it addressed what I call the Man of Steel gripe, which was when they said all the citizens are safe underground, go get them.
Right.
Where it was like, if you need to tear the city apart, do it.
Right.
They were not shy about that, and
it was just like, okay, gloves off, we can go crazy.
Yeah, we can just keep pulling buildings down. I love that line. How many buildings is it gonna take?
Right. Oh yeah. Imagine how many years that would take to clean up.
Oh my god.
I couldn't even imagine.
No, I wouldn't want to imagine. But
insurance, oh man. That'd be crazy. But yeah, it's a good movie. I don't know if there's anything else I can say about it. Go see it. If not, get it digitally.
Yeah, it's a fun movie. Your kids will love it, and they'll be begging for the toys. And which was the point.
Oh yeah.
That was
kids walking out of it were just super thrilled. Oh my god, did you see the part where they were just so excited walking out of the theater. So, Love, Simon, what's this movie about?
Love, Simon is a high school teenage romantic comedy with the added element of, oh, by the way, the main guy also has to deal with coming out. It's not a movie that kind of beats you over the head with any particular message or idea. It doesn't try to make you feel bad about anything. It just is. It's a genuinely just a pure kind of here's a teenage romance movie. It's just this time he's going after a guy instead of a girl. Like that's the only difference.
Oh, that's cool.
And
yeah, no, I saw online some of the groups that I'm in. People were walking out of the theater like just an emotional wreck. It seemed like
it's I saw a lot of that, and I tip my hat to was it Fox 2000? I think was the company that either produced or distributed it, and everybody involved with it. I mean, this was a Greg Berlanti directed film, and so everybody that was involved with this, because this is the first movie that we've seen like this. It's weird to say that this is just a straight teen romantic comedy because it's a gay teen romantic comedy, but there's no twist. There's no it doesn't try to hype up the comedic elements or do any kind of dark anything. It just is. And there's a genuine purity of film to it that I really, really enjoyed, because we don't get a lot of movies like that. Every romantic comedy anymore has to have some kind of big twist or something awful or something hilariously over the top. And I mean, this is just a good movie in every sense of the word. It is a good movie, and it is a good, in the grander scheme of things, movie. And everything that happens in it is believable. And it's a very, middle class movie. Like, nobody in this film is struggling economically, and it's not a movie that tackles every message. It doesn't seek to try to write, 12 different kinds of social injustices. It focuses on, these are the kids at the school. This is what they deal with. We're not looking at a movie that's gonna deal with every issue on every spectrum everywhere. It has a focus and it has a point, and it's a good movie. And I think people are gonna look at this and say, well, why? They're gonna look at that and say, well, these are fairly well-off suburban kids. Like, this isn't America anymore and all that. I saw some of that and I thought, you're not wrong, but that's not the point.
Right.
And that's what bugged me.
Yeah, I'll definitely see it. I'll probably wait for digital for this.
That's fair.
It's not a big blockbuster, but it seems like, I think it's cool that we're at a time now where that can be a movie and it doesn't have to have some sort of gimmick.
Right.
To it. Yeah, it can just be a love story,
And that's exactly what it is. It's a high school love story. It doesn't try to put on any kind of airs or anything. Like, there's no idealized anything. Everybody has their own quirks and everybody has their own things that they suck at, and nobody's good at drama. And it's just, you look at this and you think, yeah, I believe I believe these people. Like, there's nothing in it that seems outlandish or like, oh, well, that character could never be this or any of that. There's none of that.
Right. Well, that's cool. I'll check it out. Yeah, it's gotten great reviews.
Yeah, as well it should.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, we got some games to talk about before we jump into Ready Player One. Tell me about your time with Far Cry.
I'm loving it. I'm through. Because the map is split into 3 sections basically, and it's kind of like 3 levels in a way. And I'm just through 1, but I'm having a ball with it. Cool. This is what I think they wanted Far Cry 4 to be, in the sense of like an actual sequel to Far Cry 3, which I know is kind of a duh statement, but it's the idea that they took everything that Far Cry 3 did that made it interesting, and they just made it better, and they made it bigger. This map is huge.
Yeah, I was looking at some videos, and it seems massive.
It is. And there's so much to do. I've spent the last week just going through the first chunk of this.
Oh, nice.
Like, there's a lot to do. It's not so much that it feels overwhelming or unnecessary.
Right.
Like, there's, you clip through the story missions, and along the way, you run into stuff to do that helps build towards because each region has their own little bar that everything that you do, you get resistance points, and at a certain point, you then unlock the, for lack of a better term, the boss encounter of it. Once you complete the story missions in that region. But you find all of these things, the outposts and the things you have to blow up and steal, like you find them on the way. So you don't feel like you're going out of your way to do these unnecessary things.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can't wait, man. I installed it on my PC today.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be jumping in to see what it's all about. I love the setting. I love that it's in America and it's got grizzly bears and all sorts of, wildlife. I think that's cool. And it just seems like just a part of the country where it's just kind of like there's just a ton of land and it's kind of ruled by its own, people.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
It's kind of a nation unto itself in a way. And
right.
And in a way that's part of the problem, and in a way it's kind of charming.
Right. Yeah, I hear that they did, kind of a good job with it's easy to shit on doomsday preppers and stuff like that. But I heard that in the game they're appreciated. It's like, hey, these people are prepared because of some crazy shit that goes down.
Right. Yeah, for every nut job that they have in the game.
Right.
There are people who are just, hey, what's the harm in having a stocked shelter?
Right.
They're not worried about the end of the world. They're not actively planning for, whatever kind of insurrection or what have you. They're just saying, look, there's no harm in this.
Right. Good-hearted people that, might be a little out there, but, that's everybody. And I think that's cool. I was afraid that it was going to come off like everyone's just crazy in this part of the, you know what I mean? I was afraid it was going to be bad with a lot of the characters, but I'm glad to see that they definitely, put some good people in there along with the crazy cultists.
Yeah, and the thing that's great is even some of your allies who are like, these are decent people, they're a little nuts, but
right.
Is that necessarily a bad thing? And it also forces you to look at it as a response to the actual craziness that's happening around them.
Right, exactly.
They didn't just move up there and, start being crazy. They moved up there and all this craziness started happening. So how could anybody up there still not be crazy?
Right, exactly.
So there's, it is well done. There is definitely and nobody is a caricature. They're not portraying. They didn't take this as a license to just take a stab at every awful stereotype.
Right.
It's just these people are really crazy in one specific aspect. They so wholeheartedly believe that the world is now ending. That this is what starts the apocalypse right here.
Right.
And that's all they're worried about. This isn't about any kind of, there's no broader political message being preached here. It's just This is the end of the world and God told me to guide you. And it's what happens when the wrong kind of people go nuts and twist that kind of message, and how many people are influenced by it, and how many people respond in how many different ways to when genuine craziness rises up. How do you react to that?
Right. Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm pumped to play it.
It's fun. It's very fun.
Yeah. I didn't play much of 4, so it's been a while.
Yeah,
so
you're fine. It's because it plays like it plays like all the rest of them have.
Yeah.
So you're not, you'll jump right back in and go, oh, I remember how to do this.
Cool.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Have you played any Sea of Thieves?
Not lately, because I got to the point where just me and my little sloop, if ever I saw anybody else sailing by, I was like, well, I'm screwed. I was always getting hunted down. I would be at the end. My last straw was I was at the end of I was at the end of one quest, and I was on my way back to whatever outpost I had come from, and there was somebody leaving the outpost.
Okay.
And they sank me before I got there and killed me.
No.
And I was like, but that's just crap. Like, I get it. It's piracy, and I don't blame them. I don't mind. I'm just like, that just sucks. Because I've been 25 minutes doing all this, and I get right before the finish line, basically. I was like, it's just garbage.
I think it'd be cool if you could do like solo servers where everyone in the game is playing solo.
Yes.
So like if you do run into somebody, you have a chance.
Yes, I agree wholeheartedly.
Yeah, and like you can join a server that's like, okay, this server's agreed upon that you could be ganked by for however many people. But that would be cool if there was just like a choice, like,
yeah,
because not everyone has a group of people. Not everyone has a group of people on Xbox, you know. Yeah, so that's what I heard about the game. But I heard you're not missing too much. That like it's just a bunch of fetch quests.
Yeah,
and they didn't really add like I heard most people were saying like there's potential. There's tons and tons of potential here. But it's an early access game that they should have waited a year and put content in it.
It's No Man's Sky all over again, I think.
Right, that's what I was hearing.
Yeah.
Is that it's like there's fetch quests, but they should have added a raid and not, a bunch of arms that go up. Like, because that's what I was seeing is like, if you experience the Kraken for the first time, it's cool, and then it's the same thing every other time, and then you just shoot the arms.
Yeah. And
it's like, well, that's lame. And then if you go to the Skull Clouds, like, there's a really hard camp there. And that's it! That's it! There's nothing else in the game except fetch quests. And I thought, well, that's lame. Like, you build up reputation, and you can get skins, but you technically don't see yourself until you dance. So they don't hold any value except just being cosmetic. And I don't know. Yeah, it looks fun, though. It looks like if you got a group of 4 people together and you're like, hey, let's get these sails going and the water looks great and let's go raid this island and pick up chickens. And it looks fun. Like, it's a fun sandbox, but you got to have things in that sandbox to entertain people.
Don't talk to me about chickens. I hate the chickens.
Yeah?
I can't find the damn chickens when I needed them.
Yeah?
Oh, here's your empty crate. Go find one of each of these chickens. Suddenly, can't find the damn chickens.
Just island hopping?
I did that. I went to 3 different islands, and finally I had to quit because, again, there were 2 galleons that were passing by the island that I was at that were fighting each other. And one of them decided, our starboard cannons aren't doing anything. Let's just blow the hell out of this little ship that's parked up here by the beach for no reason whatsoever.
Oh, no.
Like, I get it. I understand.
So what happens when your ship blows up?
You get a little, there's like a mermaid that hangs out in the water holding up a flare. And so you have to go talk to him, and you respawn on your ship in a nearby island. Like a nearby safe island.
Oh, that's terrible.
And I'm just like, when that happened, I was like, I'm going to bed. Like, I was just so done.
Yeah, but that's crazy.
Yeah, it's definitely something that needs to be a group experience. Like one person, not a lot of fun, really.
Right.
But yeah, it does. It seems like No Man's Sky all over again. Like, here's something really ambitious that we didn't actually put a whole lot in.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's see here. Let's jump into Ready Player One.
That's main event time.
Main event time. Ready Player One, of course, Steven Spielberg directed, written by Ernest Cline and Zach Penn. So that was kind of cool that he was able to co-write it, and so he had some say over what was added, what was taken away, because seeing the trailer, there was just so much that, like, I don't remember erased from the book. I don't remember a lot of the stuff. And again, spoiler alert. There's, the whole Shining and just, there was so many different things that just completely were not taken from the book. And it was good. It was good. It was good, I think, because it had to be changed, especially a lot of the movie sync stuff. Just had to be adjusted to be on film. But overall, I think they did a really good job bringing it to life. I'm going to praise the movie forever for the next however long we talk about it. My one nitpick, I would say, the character development could have been a little bit better. I was hoping that Steven Spielberg would have been able to take characters that were, just not as fleshed out, I guess, as they should have been. And I thought he would have put just that, like, Spielberg, I don't know what he does. You know what I mean? Like Goonies and, the E.T. and stuff like that, where, or even on Jaws with the little kid, where you show that heart, you show that, there were some scenes, like, with the family, with his aunt and uncle, like, there was just, those were some missed opportunities where he could have, I think, made it a little bit more, I don't know if grounded is the right word, but just felt a little bit more sincere, because the rest of the movie is just a giant, like, nerdgasm in your face, just constantly hitting beat after beat after beat of, like, it felt like a video game in a good way, not in a way like critics slam movies, like, feels like a video game when that scene happened. It felt in a good way. This was the one movie where that's a good thing when those happen. And I don't know, man, I thought it was super fun. I thought, the references did not get in the way of enjoying the movie. I thought they were all kind of perfectly planned out, and they hit every single note. This is a movie I'm sure we will have to see 100 times to see everything and take in everything, all the references. They leaned way more into, like, pop culture video games as a whole than just specific 80s. There was a ton of 80s stuff there. But I think for the movie-going audience in 2018, that was a smart decision.
I agree.
Yeah, because you have kids coming out of that going, oh my god, I saw the Ninja Turtles, and I saw, I saw Mortal Kombat, and I saw just all the kind of recent stuff, or you saw the Halo, and obviously Spielberg's relationship with Microsoft, there was a ton of that in there.
Yeah.
With Halo and everything else. It was a shame there wasn't more Star Wars. It was like they referenced Star Wars, but I'm sure Disney probably just had an issue with them, like, getting the Falcon or the X-Wing or something like that.
Well, I mean, they mentioned that. That was was a great line. What do you want, Wade? The Millennium Falcon? The Millennium Falcon? You have that? Like that. I think that line was specifically in there for that reason.
Right, like it's like one of a kind, the fastest ship maybe in the Oasis. That's kind of what I got out of it.
Yeah, I love the idea of, like, that, genuinely, of, like, oh, that must be like an artifact in the way that they have it. Like, it's that kind of super ultra special kind of a ship. Oh, and by the way, the giant corporation holds the Millennium Falcon. You can't have it unless we give it to you, kind of thing. Like a slight little dig at Disney, not mean-spirited, but just kind of like a wink and a nudge sort of thing.
Oh, yeah. I mean, from the beginning, this movie is just fun all the way around. You have a Gundam jumping out of the Firefly to fight a Mega Godzilla alongside Iron Giant.
Yeah, I mean, like, what more do you need?
Yeah, like, if that is not enough for you and you consider yourself nerdy or geeky, there's nothing we can do for you. You have left your childhood completely behind, and you are now just empty inside. If that can't get you a little tingle and can't get you a little excited, I don't know what to say. Like, and I think that for that's, they made this movie super fun, And to me, it made up for a lot of the, like I said about the characters and stuff like that. Like it could have been a little bit better for the characters, but because the movie was so fast paced, because it was just balls to the wall just the whole way through, that really helped it. There are some characters I thought they did a great job with. B.J. Miller's character, the Boba Fett guy with the skull.
Well, because when you think about it, in the book, he's just a dork in high school.
Yeah.
He's a completely different character. And like when they showed, oh, here's this big badass, who is he? And when Sorrento's avatar goes up to him and actually says, I rock, I remember leaning forward in my seat because I saw this with, because when I went and saw it, I caught a showing where one of the guys at AMC was just getting off. And so he came and sat and watched it with me. He had already watched it once, but he hadn't read the book. So when they introduced IROC, and I just kind of leaned forward like, that guy?
Right.
They did that with this?
Yep.
And he was, and like I was talking to him afterwards, and I was like, yeah, that's not. They changed a lot from the book.
Oh, yeah.
And here's, and I'll say this: the book and the movie are two completely different experiences.
Right.
This is not a case of like, oh, what did they leave out? No. What I think they did with this was they looked at the book and they said, okay, let's strip this down to the absolute core of what we need. Here are the main characters. Okay. Here's the main plot.
It had a blueprint.
Yes, it did.
A backbone. Yeah.
Yes.
It had a foundation of, we got the keys, this is what happens. We have these characters, we need to get them together, there's people after them. It had the general idea.
Right.
But they switched a lot of it up because it's a movie and not a book.
Right.
And more things play, like the movie sync stuff, all of that's going to play way better in a book than it would ever in a movie, because that's going to look odd in the theater. And I thought they did that so much better when they did the Shining stuff.
Yeah.
Those parts really stuck out. And what's cool is I went to the movie with a girl who told me about the book. She does not like anything Star Wars or Star Trek or any like pop culture stuff to her. Completely, she liked Twilight and stuff like that, if that makes sense. That's not as close as pop culture that she's ever really got. And she loved it. She thought the book was great, and she loved the movie.
Nice.
You know what I mean? She knew Chucky and Jason and the video game characters, but I think you can enjoy this movie and not care too much about all of that stuff, if that makes sense.
You don't have to be a geek to enjoy this movie.
Right. You know what the DeLorean looks like. You've seen Back to the Future.
Right.
You know what I mean?
You understand what a T-Rex is. Like when
King Kong. Exactly. You see Hello Kitty walking in the background. Like, you get it, and it's fun, and it's the whole time she was freaking out. She was like, this is so much fun. Afterwards, she said it felt like a Universal Studios ride.
That's fair. That's a fair point.
Yeah, like you're putting that DeLorean in the Back to the Future ride, and you're just on a ride. And that's what it felt like. It felt fun as hell. And I think if you try to think too hard about it, if you try to, well, how does this science work with the VR headsets? It doesn't make sense. Like, you could really nitpick this movie, but you can nitpick The Goonies to death, but it still makes The Goonies still a great movie.
Agreed.
It doesn't have to have the best dialogue. There's some cheesy ass lines in here, but that's video games. Like, that's what it sometimes baffles me if I see someone who's super into gaming and all that kind of knock this, and I'm like, you realize you could tear apart your passion just as easy as you could this movie.
Exactly.
Yeah. Because if you're super into Kingdom Hearts, but this is too cheesy for you, it doesn't make sense to me.
I'm gonna side with you on that. Just the idea of like, if I don't know. Just because I don't get that mindset of like, I went into this and I put how much I love the book and the issues that I have with the book, because I have everything with him and Artemis in the book. I have a big problem with that romance. I really do, because it's not exactly one.
Right.
But
Well, I heard people compare it like the guy version of Twilight. That there's romance there, but it's pretty hollow.
Fair.
And
yes.
it's kind of weird.
It is.
I kind of got that from the movie, but it wasn't as bad in the movie.
The movie handles this in a very much more realistic way.
She immediately addresses it. She's like, "You're not in love with me. What are you talking about? You're crazy. Don't say my name."
Right.
Like,
and then
you're gonna get everyone killed. There's repercussions here, and you're acting like a child.
Yeah, she smacks him down really hard and really quickly. The great thing is the movie doesn't delve into the fairly stalkerish things that the book does. Like he is creepy in the book after he gets rejected. He really is. The movie just kind of goes with, he's just really bummed out, but he doesn't have a whole lot of time to think about it because there's a world that needs saved.
Right.
And it does feel a little, it's not the same traditional, it took them forever to fall in love, blah, blah, blah. But, how many movies are there where you throw two people together in crisis and by the end of the movie, which takes place over the course of a day, these people are, they're picking out wallpaper samples. Like, so that's... they've been at this for a while, and the film takes place over the course of many days, and they do get to know each other, and it's different. It's easy to knock this if you've never had that kind of
connection.
That kind of connection, or like that kind of start to, or an entire just online relationship.
Right. Okay, I see where you're going. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a whole other. It's harder to not. I think that if you haven't, then you kind of don't get to knock this for all that much. Like
one thing I could super relate to was when he was talking about having friends online.
Yeah.
And I thought they did that in such a good way where it's such a hard thing to describe to somebody who's never had that before.
Yeah.
Because if they've never had that before, then odds are they're probably not online that much, which odds are they might probably have an idea of, that's a little weird, or you don't know them, or, but the way that he explains in the movie makes just sense. He's like, look, this is people here all the time. And so, his relationship with H and all that, I thought that was super cool. Also the reveal, the theater gasp, I thought that was awesome. They're like, that's, there was like, that's cool. I thought that was super well done. Because we all have, I have a group of friends online that I've never met in person, but I have played, video games with for years.
Yeah.
And to some people that's odd, but to anyone who has played video games, that's our age, understands that's just a normal thing. You play Call of Duty with someone enough, you add them on your PlayStation network, and 4 years later, you're finding out about their kid, they're finding out about your promotions. It's just kind of your getaway, and then you turn it off and you go do your real world shit. And then every, a couple times a week you hop in and catch up and just relax. And so that was such a cool way to do it. And I loved that that's how their clan just kind of came together.
Yeah.
Just naturally.
Yeah.
I thought that was so well done.
I really loved the kid. He was hilarious. It was so great, because the last time he's like, what, do I have to wear a sign?
Right.
I loved the idea of he's just so fed up with this crap. And that's, again, it delves into the idea of a digital identity versus a real identity, and the idea that, that there is a little prejudice there. Here's a kid who's a lot smarter than people think, but, he's just a kid. That's immediately going to be the first response, And I think this movie deals with preconceptions all across the board. Oh, you just met online? Oh, that's just a kid? Oh, this person is just that? Oh, this person is just this? And the flip side of that, when they have Sorrento address it, what, you think just because I wear a suit, just because I'm a business guy, I don't like to watch John Hughes movies and drink tab? No, because you're a dick. But not the point. I love the idea of they kind of played the other side of the coin with that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
This is a movie like I said, I'm going tomorrow. I may go. This is a movie that it is long, but it's paced fantastically.
Oh no, yeah, we I didn't know how long it was gonna be. We went in, and when we left, we were like, oh my god, it's like 11 at night.
Yeah, it's about a 2.5 hour movie.
Yeah, I was like, oh my god, but it flew by.
Yes.
It went by in a moment.
It doesn't drag. It never drags. Even the slower moments, they're still moving forward, and
there's things to look at. There's things to just. Yes. There's so much to take in.
Yeah.
Man, when it opens up and you see Minecraft and you see all these different planets and you see Batman hanging from Mount Everest and you're just like, what the like, it is just a sensory overload. And it's awesome.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, just that whole end scene with the Iron Giant and the thumbs up and
man, that almost cried. I was like, that's what a great way to bring together two completely different pop culture moments into one. That was just super awesome.
Yeah, it was just such a cool scene, and there's so they're fighting on a planet. Was it Planet Doom from Voltron? There's just so many different crazy things. I think we saw all of the big we saw Freddy, Jason, Chucky. It was insane. It was absolutely insane. And all the tons of video game references. And I loved how the last one, of course, was adventure.
Yeah.
And the key was, it was the first time I don't have his name in front of me.
But Robinette. I don't remember. Warren Robinette, I think.
Right. And it was the first time that someone put their credit in a video game because they weren't allowed to back then.
Yeah.
And it was an Easter egg that he got through that no one knew about at Atari. I thought that it was just perfect. It was great.
Yeah.
I thought Simon Pegg was wonderful in it.
I loved that. Was my favorite change from the book. Yep. Instead of, because his character in the book was great, but he was very much a Deus Ex Machina in the book.
Right.
No question. But what his role in the film is so completely because you don't know until the end, and I loved that reveal when he was just like, well, I've kind of been here all along, and you're like, oh my god, that makes perfect sense.
Oh yeah, and I like kind of the message too, hey, we're gonna shut down the Oasis for Tuesdays and Thursdays because, the outside world is good. When that last quote's from something. Where he's like, it's reality's, it's the only good place to get something good to eat or something like that.
It's from, it's somebody like William S. Burroughs or it's like one of the beats. But yeah,
to get a decent meal.
Yeah, or it's either a beat author
Groucho Marx.
Or Groucho Marx. There you go.
Yeah, Marx, that's it, yeah.
Well, Groucho was a beat writer in his own right, I guess.
Right.
But
yeah, it was surreal. It was really cool. It was just a fun movie. I'm interested because he's definitely writing a sequel now. They're gonna hack into it again or something. And
right.
I don't know.
I kind of don't want a sequel. I'm okay with this just being just let it be. Let it be where it is.
I agree, but I'm looking forward to a sequel. There's just so much you could do.
Yeah,
this is a world that I would not mind seeing multiple entries because just of how, I don't know. To me, it's like an exciting Matrix. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's a, of course the next one if they make a third one could be terrible and it could be too much, but that potential of an online world and how much power it holds and everything else and put in the wrong hands, just, I don't know. I like that. I think it's cool. You're absolutely right though. It totally works as a one and done, but man, that book sold way too many. What are the numbers? Did they show the box office?
4-day weekend, 53 million.
And was that above what you were thinking?
I said 50.
Oh,
So
there you go.
and here's the thing, and also that's 4-day because it actually opened Wednesday night
Oh,
instead of
okay.
Thursday night. So if you exclude Thursday and go with just the weekend, for the sake of my own sheer vanity, 41 million. But
Okay.
if you add in Thursday, which was a weird, like, okay, sure, I guess to get a jump start on Easter weekend, because
Hmm.
there's a calculus there, but I mean, it paid off for him.
Yeah.
And it opened monstrously overseas. It made,
Oh,
what, 60 something
dude.
overseas, I think. The numbers overseas are massive. It's
All they had to show was Voltron in that trailer.
Yeah, well, and I mean, here's the thing, like in China in particular, like because this was a combination of video games and giant blockbuster American film. Like
Right.
that's a golden ticket over there, and it's
Hmm.
going to be. Like they are thinking because they saw some of the returns from China, and they're like, this movie is gonna be freaking huge in China.
Yeah. Oh, I imagine.
So it'll do decent over here, but it will probably do far more globally than it will domestically, and it's gonna make a ton of money um, overseas. Like it already looks like it's gonna be a monster.
Mm.
So
Yeah. I saw that Spielberg, because obviously there was a ton of Spielberg stuff in there,
yeah,
and Ernest Cline and him decided to put some Zach Penn stuff in there because he was like, I don't want any of my references from my movies
yeah.
in
Well,
there.
you don't get what you want, Zach.
Right. So they slipped in Last Action Hero 3,
Nice,
starring Schwarzenegger.
nice.
Yeah. And I didn't realize it, but they were going through the city from RoboCop.
Yeah,
Yeah. So there's just so many references and stuff, and like I said, it didn't get in the way of it. It's going to be something where we could go watch a million times and kind of pick it out and try and see what's in there.
yeah,
But it didn't get in the way where it was like we're trying to do this so much that it's getting in the way of the story. It's just, I think that we're just seeing it now with what was that virtual chat, that online
yeah.
thing where you can just be any avatar, so it's fucking crazy. That's what a virtual reality thing would be if you could get different avatars. The more money you had, the better ones you had. Like, that's what people would do. They would walk in as, Ryu, or whatever, just anything you could think of. And it was just, I don't know, it was great. It was fun.
Yeah. This was such a. I remember when Wreck-It Ralph came out, and we all thought how bizarre it was to see like Zangief and
Yeah.
and one of the ghosts from Pac-Man
Hmm.
coexisting. And now you look and you're like, oh, I'm driving. I'm in the main character's in a DeLorean driving past the Ninja Turtles and Battletoads, and he's gonna lob Chucky out. Like
Right.
it sounds like a fever dream, but it's done just ridiculously well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. It's just, it's crazy. It's crazy how good it was. And the Shining stuff, man. That just the way they recreated some of those scenes and those shots. And the person I was with, she never saw The Shining, so she didn't get like as nostalgic as everyone else did, I
Right.
think, but she understood it.
Yeah. There you go.
But I'm just like, there's gonna be blood that comes out of that elevator, and then it happens, and I'm like, there's gonna be blood, there's gotta be blood, and yeah, and you see the picture on the wall, and oh man, it was so cool,
Yeah.
it was so awesome. Uh, and there's a million things that I didn't get, like some of the weapons that he had. Apparently, all of those weapons are from franchises,
Sure.
and I didn't know any of them,
No,
but.
I'm sure even if like I paused on every one of them and
Mhm.
looked at it, I'm sure I probably wouldn't know most of them
Oh yeah,
just
yeah,
because there's so many.
yeah, yeah. It was awesome. Um, yeah, I don't know what else we can say about it besides be seeing this movie. You should definitely go see this movie.
It's so good. It's an event film. It
Mm-hmm.
it is a Spielberg blockbuster film. It is.
Yeah.
It's the first good one of these that we've had in a very long time.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Do you think he would do a sequel if they did it? Probably give it to someone else, right?
I don't know. I don't know.
I could see J.J. Abrams tackling the next one.
I'd worry about that though.
Really?
I just,
To me, he's the closest you're going to get to J.J. Or to Spielberg.
That's true. But I don't know. Just to go from Spielberg to anybody else, Spielberg's got a magic to him.
Right.
And I'm not knocking JJ. His bona fides speak for themselves.
Right.
But I would worry about the direction it would go.
Right.
I worry about the idea of, it's kind of like what I talked about with Love, Simon. The idea of Ready Player One is just a pure adventure movie.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
Oh, and yeah. Well, that's the other thing I wanted to ask you, because it's not a video game movie.
No, it's an adventure movie.
It's an adventure movie,
yeah,
right?
Absolutely. It's an Indiana Jones kind of like here. It's an adventure movie.
Right. Exactly.
And I worry about if you give that to somebody like JJ, where does the cynicism come in? Like not overtly, but just where's the little bit of darkness that we didn't need? And I worry about that.
Okay, yeah, I could see that. Yeah. I don't know. It's going to be interesting, because they're definitely going to do another one. I wonder if they'd do another sequel before they do another book.
I don't think so.
No?
No.
You don't think that Hollywood's going to go, hey, look how much money we're making, let's get this going for another one?
Where do you go from
Because
here?
technically you could do another book and it could be completely different.
Sure.
Because the books are different.
Very true. But I mean, where...
I guarantee they're working on a script right now.
I don't know, because I mean, this thing ends with and they all lived happily ever after the end, basically.
Well, yeah, but so did Jurassic Park.
No, it didn't. It ended with them flying away and seeing some of the pterodactyls flying away from the island, which left with the idea of life finds a way.
But it's not as if the Oasis is shut down.
No, the Oasis
is still there.
No, the Oasis is still there, but the threat is gone. There's no more IOI threatening to take it over.
Yeah, but you could have other things happen in the Oasis that have real world effects, like someone hacking it or something like that.
Yeah, but I
get what you're saying.
I think
that was the big... Yeah. I don't know.
That's why it's kind of why I'm worried about the sequel book. It's right. I look at this the same way I think of something like Ender's Game, which it told the story and it ended. So when they made a sequel, it went completely off the sequels to Ender's Game are ridiculous.
Yeah.
They're bonkers. They have nothing to do with the original. Like, it's by the most tenuous thread possible, and I just don't like them, and it's partly because of that, where they're like, what do we? It's not really a sequel. It's just something they made to keep doing the thing that they did so well the first time, without any of the things that made it so good the first time.
No, I get what you're saying.
I worry about that. Yeah,
this is a world that I would rather visit 100 times over Avatar. You know what I mean? Like, there's so much that you could do with this.
Yeah.
Because of how massive it is. It might not even have to be like a world-ending book. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't have to be this crazy, world-altering thing. It could just be a story inside of it. I don't know.
I wouldn't mind some kind of little, like, TV series spin-off, and every season is, Tales from the Oasis.
That would get expensive.
It
with
would.
The CGI.
Well, yes and no, because I mean CGI has gotten to the point now where I mean some of that stuff looked like ridiculously real. You could almost get away with just using real people in prosthetics.
This is some of the best CGI I've ever seen. I might actually see, because I saw this at the Dolby, which was great. I might actually see this in 3D.
Oh, dude, go! I saw it in 3D. I saw it. I saw it in our premium format in 3D. It's like being in IMAX 3D. Oh, so good. It is so good in 3D. Oh my god.
I think that's what I'm going to be doing this weekend. I'm going to just go check it out in IMAX 3D.
I haven't seen a movie in 3D since I don't remember when. I honestly do not remember the last 3D movie I saw, but I thought I'm going to make it a point to see this one in 3D.
Right.
Largely because most of the screenings we had were in 3D.
Okay.
And that's part of it. Most of this movie is marketed heavily in 3D and exhibited heavily in 3D.
Right.
Because like how we usually have a movie, we'll have take Black Panther. We'll have it in our big theater. We'll have it screening in a couple smaller theaters, by which instead of a 500 seat theater, it's a 200 and some seat theater. And then we'll have one 3D screening in like an 80 something seat theater. Because they don't do much. It's reversed with Ready Player One. In the big theater and in the smaller theaters, it's 3D, and the 100 seat theater is the 2D.
Okay.
That's how it's exhibited. That's so much of this is pushed in 3D. That's the idea. It's worth it.
I heard it was good.
It's definitely worth it. I got to try out my little clip-ons, the little Sykes ones I got from Amazon, and they were fantastic. It was great.
Nice.
It helped. It kind of made me not. It kind of made me look and say, you know what, I can do 3D movies again. Because that was part of the reason I stopped was glasses on glasses.
Right.
Like it's just obnoxious as hell. But the fact that the clip-ons worked perfectly. I can start doing this again.
Yeah, no, that's my plan this weekend is to go see that in 3D or Friday when no one's in the theater. Friday in the morning.
Yeah. Go early.
Everyone's
for sure.
busy at work.
It's definitely worth it 3D. It was awesome in 3D for sure.
Yeah, I imagine the scene at the end, especially with the Gundam and everything, and I imagine that all looks sick.
I'll tell you what, when it starts and you're going world hopping and it's like, and here's Minecraft World and all this stuff, that's a rush. Like it grabs you from the start of like you're in for a treat.
Oh yeah. It opens up with that Van Halen music, right?
God, oh man, we have to do theater checks just to make sure everything starts on time and there are no issues. And I walked in and like I'm seeing the little not the title cards, but the little information cards, and I'm hearing jump, and immediately I'm like, okay, everything's working. I have to run out of here now because otherwise I'm not leaving.
Right. Yeah. Oh yeah, I can imagine.
Oh man, and I loved it, man. It was so good. It was so damn good.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's that feeling of getting all your toys out as a kid and playing with them and having them all interact with each other and having the Ninja Turtles fight the Power Rangers. Like it's that feeling, and if you don't try not to be cynical about it, you'll have a good time.
Absolutely, go into this movie with a kid's heart. Don't try to be. I did not go into this as a grown up, and that's why I enjoyed it so much. That's the point. You go into this movie as a kid.
Yeah.
Like it really is the best way for it. And then just let yourself get caught up in it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I don't know if there's anything else left to say about Ready Player One. I'm going to be seeing it. We'll talk about it. Probably not the next podcast, but the following one. After I go see it again. Or you're seeing it tomorrow, you said so.
Yeah.
Yeah. So definitely listen to the next episode. We won't be any spoilers or whatnot, but man, yeah, I can't wait. I'm excited.
Yeah.
We'll see this in 3D.
And I'm curious to see what else comes from this. Like what does this spark some kind of VR boom in any, let me say this, does the boom is a little grand. Is there a bump in VR because of this? Maybe.
Man, when that wireless Vive comes out later this year,
yeah,
woo, it's looking nice.
For how much money?
Yeah, I need to get a new car first, but no, I think it's $600 for the Vive.
That's not bad, but I mean the PSVR is down to what, 300 now?
Yeah, 300.
So it's, I mean,
it's the price of a console. I mean, if you're really into VR and like you don't want to switch or something, you could totally just get the PSVR.
If I had the room, I would.
You don't need room for the PlayStation VR.
Man, you need, dude. Are you kidding me? Like,
you literally don't need room. It's not like the Vive where you actually need room space. PlayStation VR, you stay in front of the thing. You don't go anywhere. You sit in front of the TV.
Yeah, but I mean, you need a clear line of sight between you and the TV.
Well, I mean, no, not necessarily. Like, is there like a stack of books in front of you in front of the TV? I don't get it. Like, as long as the TV's in front of you and the camera's pointed at you, you're fine. That's it.
Right. There's a table and 2 stacks of plastic containers in front of me.
You can just take the stuff off the table and you're fine.
I'll send you a picture of this.
Oh, well, I mean, you can. Okay, so it's doable. It's not like that's why I want to make that very clear. That is, if you have a PlayStation, you don't need a lot of space. Sure, right. You don't want something between you and the television, but
no. If if this is in your living room and all you have to do is scoot a coffee table over, you're fine. Like that.
I don't even think you need to scoot the coffee table. All it has to do is read your headset and your hands with the 2 things in it. It doesn't read your body. Okay. It doesn't read your lower torso. It just reads those 3 things.
Fair enough then.
Yeah, so like it's not like the Vive where you actually need the room because there's things that map out in front of it. It just has to read those 3 things, and if the camera can see them, you're good to go. Yeah, you're moving around. It knows where you're at, and you can do it sitting down. The Kind of Funny guys have on the Kind of Funny games. They have a series where they do PlayStation VR, and they're literally just sitting right on their couch, right in front of the television, and it shows them that most of the stuff they're doing is sitting down.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's the most accessible. Absolutely, go and get the game. What's it called? Oh man, Battle Tanks or something.
Yeah, that's the one that I keep hearing talked about.
Because it feels like a Universal Studio ride, because you're moving and you're sitting in the tank and you're being, it's picking you up and it's moving you across the field and it's dropping you off, and then you're stationary inside of the tank and everything else is happening around you, and it's surreal. When you look to the right, you see a tank to the right. When you move your head to the left, you see a big whole bunch of stuff that way, and you're moving the controller and you're moving the tank, and it's fun. VR is something everyone, I think, should experience. It's hard to explain without actually putting the thing on and doing it.
Right.
And
yeah.
I think you're right. I think this is going to push it. This kind of stuff. VR's just been in kind of the pop culture realm for years now, since the 80s. Like, how are we going to get to that? And we're almost there, man. This year we will have a wireless Vive helmet, and it will have the room scale stuff. And that's what most people, I think, are waiting for, because to be able to just put it on and do what you need to do is you're scratching the surface of Ready Player One.
Yeah, no, there's nothing but there's no ceiling on this. There's no, you're the only limit is I have to say it, the only limit is your imagination.
Oh yeah.
But there's, especially once the technology keeps moving forward. I remember the dream of virtual reality back when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Back, and now, we have it. I mean, hell, if nothing else, get the Samsung VR or something.
Oh yeah.
There's all that kinds of stuff. No, it's not
Those
perfect.
are $100.
But there you go. See,
yeah.
that's something to work with.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because oh man, I remember it, and if there's a local mall near you that has a Microsoft store, walk into it, because I don't know if there's any PlayStation setups anymore where you can go try it out, but I know the Microsoft store still does the Vive headset if you wanted to try it.
Nice.
And that will give you an idea of what it's like, a taste. I know at Best Buy, I still think you can do the Samsung ones to like put it on and look at it and stuff. But yeah, it's definitely the future, and it's in a weird, scary way, but in also kind of a cool way. Like it's gonna be awesome. Like one of the cool things about the headset is you can watch a movie with it on. You're literally, you put it on, and it's like you're sitting in a theater because a big screen is in front of you.
Right.
I don't know anyone that would watch a movie that way, but I like the promise of what it could be when it, because the one that they're doing now, the Vive that they're going to be releasing this year, is apparently 4K, which is going to be insane for
kidding.
VR. Because right now it's like the PlayStation's kind of has a screen door effect. The Vive's a little bit clearer. I can't even imagine the next thing that's going to come out.
No,
and how clear it's going to be.
It's going to be insane. It's going to be ridiculous.
Yeah. So, in 5-10 years from now, it's just going to be the norm. I doubt we'll ever get away from a big TV and controllers, but I could totally see whatever Xbox or PlayStation comes out with next time, whatever their next console is, I could totally see this being like, oh, by the way, this is something that we're pushing with the system that you can get as an accessory at launch.
Yeah, it's going to make consoles pricier, though.
They'll drop in price. These, I think you'll be able to buy the console as you normally will, and it'll be like $300 or $400.
Yeah.
But then you could, if you want, get the one bundled with the VR.
Yeah.
If you're, it exists. You can go and get the prices. For example, look at the phones. The phones now are $1,000.
Yeah.
So there's a market there for it. You could be like, hey, if you just want the video, you just want the normal console experience, $400. Here you go.
Yeah.
But hey, if you want the Xbox X, you can get this version. Kind of like how they do it now with their Xbox systems.
Right. Could you just imagine, like, here's the PlayStation 5, and then here's the PlayStation 5 Pro Plus with VR for like $900 or whatever. Like that's not entirely unreasonable.
No, I wish they bundled the Vita with the. I wish you could have a bundle with the PlayStation where you got the Vita and it knocked like, $75 off the Vita, the price of it.
Well, because how much does a Vita even cost anymore?
I don't know. It was what, 200 or 300?
It was I think. But haven't they, did they even make Vita anymore?
They don't. No, and I think it was 300 when it came out. I could be wrong.
Well, I mean, that was when it came out, but
right. But imagine if they were like, here you go, PlayStation 4 and a Vita that has been out for years, and it wasn't dead when the PlayStation 4 came out.
No, that's true. That's true. It wasn't back then.
And it was like, and here you can get the one bundled with the Vita, and it's $125 more.
Fair.
And it's like, oh shit, I could save $75, or maybe just $100 more. And in this one's bundled with a portable. It's a PlayStation Vita, and you can that's what I'm saying. Like, I wish that you could get these bundled together cheaper. There's a market for that, I think. And then you'd have the people that just, hey, I just want to play the PlayStation. Give me the one that comes with Destiny. I'm good. Those kind of people, which is most people.
Yeah, that was me. My PS4 was the Destiny bundle back in the day.
There you go. Yeah. And, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I think VR, I don't think it's like a gimmick like 3D. This has more like uses out of it, especially in the medical field and education. You got Facebook investing in it with the Vive or the HTC. Yeah, one of them, I forget.
Didn't they buy
Oculus? That's the one.
Yeah, they bought Oculus. That's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
I'll tell you
all these. Oh, go ahead.
I'll tell you what, the coolest thing that I wish I had something VR to see was Fastlane. That they had that WWE set up VR cameras at Fastlane, so that not as it was recorded, but it was like the next day or 2 days later or something. If you have a VR platform and you download what's it called, Next Event, I think, or Next Event, something like that, you could watch Fastlane from some of those perspectives. And I would look like that's, and they do that with some sporting events where like it kind of puts you in a seat if you have a VR. Be
cool
headset.
At a concert.
Yeah, big time. Like there are.
If they could get the sound and everything right.
Well, I mean, all you need is a 7. If you had a 5.1 headset, you wouldn't even need a 7.1 headset with virtual surround. You know, your standard PlayStation Gold headset is all you'd need. Like that same kind of 5 or 7.1 with the virtual surround. That's all you need.
Right. No, I mean, like I meant them capturing it from the concert. Like if if they could figure out how to get that sounding really good from that spot.
Fair.
And not like bananas in your headset, then imagine that. Imagine like, hey, I don't have $500 for Tomorrow World, and I don't have $1,000 to get a plane ticket, and I don't have like all that, but I can pay $30 and be at Ultra and look around and see everybody and like kind of be like you hear it. One of the coolest things about the PlayStation VR, which people railed, they did not like this, but I loved it. It was the harmonics thing for like $10. And the reason why people got it because it's a visualizer.
Right.
So you put it on and it plays any music that you have on your external drive, and it's a big virtual reality visualizer that comes to you in all these waves, and everything's just moving.
Man,
and it's
I'll bet that freaked
straight
people
up
out.
acid trip.
Yeah, I'll bet.
It is, and everything's moving, and the colors are all changing and forming into each other and blowing up out and exploding and coming back, and it was absolutely insane. So I put that was one of the first things I showed some of my friends, and they were just like, "How are you not in this all day?"
Yeah.
This is awesome. This is the only way I would listen to music. That's funny. Yeah. But it's like a little cool. That's what I found so awesome about the PlayStation VR was all the little things I wasn't expecting. Because I was expecting to I'm going to play all of Resident Evil. And that's not what you want to do in VR. You only want to be in it for like 20 minutes. And you want quick experiences. And just to be, it feels crazy to look around and be in that little world. That's what I liked out of it. Like the Star Wars stuff, like, man, that you want someone to get VR, you put them in the VR headset to play some of the Star Wars stuff, the Battlefront stuff, because that will be through the roof.
Think about some of the best arcade games, and they were giant cabinets where you sat in something, and I'm thinking of Star Wars the arcade game.
Yep.
Which was Star Wars Trilogy, and it put you in a speeder, it put you on the speeder bike, you were in the cockpit. Like that is exactly what that's for. Like that's the whole point of that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, they just knocked the price down. I think you can get the VR stuff for $200 without the camera and without the sticks.
Yeah.
And you can get the bundle for $300. So
if you get if you get the Doom VR bundle, which comes with everything, it's like $350.
Yeah, yeah. So, just know what you're getting before you get into it. Know what
do your research for sure.
Temper your expectations. It's not going to be this thing that you play every single night for hours on end like you do your regular system. It's going to be something you jump in for maybe an hour, and then you go play something else afterwards.
Right.
And it's definitely fun to have other people play with, like to experience that with family members and friends. It's a fun thing to do. Oh yeah. But oh man, we're going late. But yeah, no, I think that's it. Yeah, that's our big spoiler spectacular, and we'll be back on Wednesday, same time. Make sure you go to our Facebook group, We Geek Podcast, our Twitter at We Geek Podcast, at The Logan Witt, at Adam E. Step, Gmail, WeGeekPodcast@gmail.com. Make sure you go subscribe to us on iTunes or Apple Podcasts and give us a review. And we'll be back on Wednesday. Till then, Captain.